who is the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy. A very warm welcome. To his left, which is, well, to my left, which is to his right, is Dr. Kashifu Inua, who is the Chief ICT Officer of Nigeria and the DG of NITDA. Please put your hands together for him. And just beside Dr. Bosun Tijani is Dr. Saliu Nakande, the Special Assistant to the President on ICT and, well, the brain behind this. Please put your hands together for him. We also have, just to his right, okay, in an African attire, but the skin does not allow for him to cloak or mask as an African, is Mr. Chris Camponi, Head of Prosperity, British Deputy High Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for him. And then I will just, in a rush, acknowledge, you know, as many people as possible. There is the DG SMEDAN here with us, in the person of Mr. Charles Odi. So I just want to say something brief about him. He started SME 100 Africa in 2014. And today we're talking about, you know, African trade and having that cross-Africa trade and all of that. The DG SMEDAN, Charles Odi, had this before, you know, the appointment he has today. But the interesting thing about that is sometimes people look at you and think you're an overnight success. But it's never that way. There's something called value stacking. So even if it feels like you're not achieving anything today, to any young person out there who is watching this, you can stack on that value and eventually you seem like an overnight success. Please put your hands together for him. Right. There is Dr. Agarwal with us, who is a researcher and one of those sponsoring the event today, ODI. She is Dr. Agarwal, and she's here with us. We also have with us this morning representatives from the police cybersecurity unit. As a matter of fact, we have with us AIG Okolo, who is in charge of the cybersecurity unit of the Nigerian Police Force. Please put your hands together for him. How do you do trade without going across borders? We have with us this morning CP Abel JZ, who is in charge of, is the controller, okay, in charge of ICT at the Nigerian Customs. Please put your hands together. All right, we have acknowledged quite a number of people before now. Senior Special Assistants to the President, Special Assistant to the President. I understand we have the Postmaster General here with us too. We have Engineer Jennifer DJ also here with us. We have the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Special Needs. We have an ICT professional and a politician, Dr. Adamu Garba, here with us. We don't want to waste the Vice President's time because time is precious and quite expensive. Let's take a quick look at the Renewed Hope Strategy for Digital Trade in Africa. It says here that the digital economy has fundamentally transformed the way millions of Nigerians shop, bank, and communicate, reshaping the nation's trade landscape and unlocking new pathways for economic growth. The next pivotal step in Nigeria's digital future is regional integration, aligning with the African Union's digital transformation strategy for Africa, supported by Digital Trade Protocol of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA. This convening event, Digital Trade in Africa, the Renewed Hope Strategy, will explore how the digital economy and AFCFTA can transform Nigerian trade, boost economic growth, and support livelihoods. The implementation of the AFCFTA's Digital Trade Protocol involves the coordination of multiple agencies of the government of Nigeria and the alignment with current and development of new policies and strategies. A dialogue within the government and with the private sector is essential to make a success of the implementation of these initiatives and maximize their impact on Nigerian economy. Just so you know, before the end of the show, if this was achieved, here are the objectives. To identify key opportunities for enhancing Nigeria's digital trade within the AFC-FTA framework, discuss effective strategies for leveraging digital technologies to boost economic growth and support livelihoods, to foster collaboration among stakeholders to drive digital and economic advancement in Nigeria, to develop actionable recommendations for policy frameworks and infrastructure investment, and share best practices and success stories from other African nations to inform Nigeria's digital opening trade initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning, those are the objectives. The Special Assistant to the President on ICT, in the person of Dr. Saliu Nakande. He got a PhD at 25, and the question I asked before now was, what were you doing at the age of 25? If you can't remember much about it, please put your hands together for him.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, good morning everyone, and welcome to this event, Digital Trade in Africa, the Renewed Hope Strategy. Today, we gather here not just as representatives of various sectors and organizations, but as key stakeholders in the digital future of Nigeria. Our presence here signifies a strong commitment to advancing Nigeria's trade initiative, and more importantly, using the power of digital technologies to enhance the economic growth of Nigeria. First and foremost, before I continue this speech, I would want to send my extreme gratitude to our President, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and again our Vice President, His Excellency Senator Kashim Shettima, for their leadership and their commitment to the Renewed Hope Agenda, which has laid a solid foundation for our digital transformation journey. Their vision for a very, very prosperous Nigeria and a digitally advanced Nigeria inspires us all, and their collective support has been very instrumental in driving forward the initiative we're going to discuss today. I must also remind you that I'm very inspired by one of the conversations that was had earlier this year during the World Economic Forum in Davos by His Excellency, my principal, Senator Kashim Shettima, and I will quote him. He quoted and said, "Looking ahead, there's a need for speed and cohesion among African countries. The idea of AFC-FTA must not fail, and there's no room for mediocrity in today's world." The quote captures the essence that we're here today. We must act swiftly and together ensure that AFCTA succeeds and digital trade initiatives succeed in Nigeria. Nigeria's economic vision is to achieve the $1 trillion economy by 2026, and achieving this vision is within this reach due to the digital economy. Now, as we look forward towards regional integration within AFCTA, we will even unlock more economic growth and opportunities. By aligning with the Digital Trade Protocol, we stand to elevate Nigeria's trade, foster economic growth, and improve the lives of our citizens to live better lives. This gathering, again, is a testament of the importance of dialogue and collaboration. The successful implementation of the AFCT-FTA's protocol on digital trade requires the coordination of multiple agencies, as well as the involvement with the private sector. So our objectives in this meeting is very, very clear and very, very ambitious. and I'm sure we're going to achieve it. First of all, we'll identify the key opportunities for enhancing digital trade within the AFCTA framework. We will also discuss the effective strategies to ensure a coordinated approach to implement this AFCTA digital trade protocol, and also how it will enhance the economic growth of Nigeria. Lastly, I would like to thank our funders, FCDO, and also I would like to thank ODI and also Suburban Telecoms for their support and their funding and their commitment to fostering digital trade within the AFCTA framework. With this, I will have the pleasure to also present the agenda of the event. So next in line after me is a keynote addresses from His Excellency, the Federal Minister of Digital Economy and other CEOs of other agencies. And after that, we're going to have a presentation of a previous work we did in partnership with ODI, FCDO, and the Office of the Vice President on our research on digital trade and the preparedness of Nigeria to advance digital trade. And next in line, we're going to also have a presentation to support SMEs in order to be able to digitally trade within the digital space. And that will be presented by Suburban Telecoms. And after that, we're going to have our panel of discussion and then our goodwill message. Yes, sorry, I forgot. We're going to have our remarks from His Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria again. Yes, so that's it. Again, I want to thank everyone for coming. And like I said earlier on, we're going to have a great event. Thank you, everyone.
Gentlemen, please put your hands together for Dr. Salihu Nakande. Yes, it's important that the world gets flatter as it goes on. We will be having a keynote address from the Honorable Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy. But if you recall what I said earlier about value stacking, he's 46, but has been in the Nigerian tech space since almost forever. He started Co-Creation Hub, that's the CC Hub. Now, for those who don't know, when you're thinking and you name something co-creation, it means that you understand that you're not an island and that you should network with other people and give them the opportunity to also bring their dreams to fore and bring their dreams to life. The beautiful thing about networking and digitization is the fact that you need that network too. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the Honorable Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, my brother, the Special Assistant to the President on ICT Policy, Dr. Salil Dasuki, the DG National Information Technology Development Agency, Kashifu Inua Abdullahi, the Managing Director, Nigeria Commodity Exchange, Mr. Anthony Atuche, and I'd like to use you as a point of contact to every other government officials present in the room today. The representative of the British Deputy High Commissioner, and also the Head of Prosperity, Mr. Chris Company, distinguished guests, welcome once again. I think I have to say that I've had the privilege of being in the room with our dear Vice President a number of times. And each of these opportunities, I must confess, it's been about conversations around progress that is rooted in support for the average Nigerian. Conversations around progress that is rooted in support for small businesses. Conversations, and I've seen the best person I've seen describe the power of connectivity and digital economy to our continent has been the Vice President many times that I've been with him. And I consider it another chapter of that today. A round of applause. I consider today another chapter of that unique experience for me. Because for those who are following, the single market is probably the largest gift that our leaders have ever given us on the African continent. And I'll help us understand if we don't know why. The African Continental Free Trade Area is the largest free trade zone globally, the largest. Of course, you can think of things like the European Union or the European trading area, what exists in the Asian part of the world. But this one is unique because it connects 55 African countries and 8 existing regional economic communities into a single market. For those who are following, that market is a market of about 1.2 to 1.4 billion people, depending on which number you're looking at. And that's why today is important, because the progress we seek on the African continent will only happen not if we empower people to be able to only produce locally, but also trade. And we can't have conversation about trading if we're not trading amongst ourselves as a continent. Because if your product is not good enough for your neighbors, the closest neighbors that you have, of course, you question whether you have the capability to actually trade with those who are far away from you. And if we're in doubt of this market opportunity, I'd like to bring our attention to the fact that our population on the African continent is growing rapidly and is predominantly young people. Africa is the only continent in the world where about 45% of our people are under the age of 15. The average for the rest of the world is 25%. And for those who are following, you probably know that Nigeria alone, our population is projected by 2050 to be somewhere close to 400 million people. The continent is the continent with the fastest urbanizing countries in the world. By 2050, the population of the entire continent itself is projected to reach 2.4 billion. And this is projected to grow to 4.2 billion people in the next 100 years. The single market is projected to bring about spending of $4 trillion and investment into our economy on the continent. And I know when we share these numbers, most people are still wary of whether, as a country, Nigeria will be losing opportunities for actively participating in the free market. And I have to say, this is a topic I've been passionate about. I can see a few people in the room that I've worked together with on the single market conversation. And about 3 years ago, as a researcher, I had the opportunity to actually look at the traditional gravity model, which is how economics explain trade relationships amongst countries. And what we did was to extend that model by introducing something called the Social Connectedness Index. The Social Connectedness Index is something that is powered by the relationships and interaction on the internet. So if you take collectively how people interact on social media, you can tell the linkages between countries all over the world. If you take, for instance, one of the most powerful data sets that we use was anonymized data set on WhatsApp calls globally. So who are the people talking to one another or each other on WhatsApp? And of course, it helped us to be able to explain trade relationships further, because trade is also based on social relationships amongst people. Of course, we designed a particular ranking that demonstrated that Nigeria is actually number 7 on the list of countries that are poised to benefit the most from a single market on the African continent. And this method is simply based on product and the capability that we have to produce products that other African countries import from outside of Africa. And for those who may not know, I'll give a few examples. Nigeria, we have the capability to produce pasta. And in 2021, the total export for pasta in Nigeria was $4.92 million. But to our surprise, the total import to Africa for pasta the same year was $839 million. So you can see the opportunity that exists just in Nigeria, investing in pasta production, ramping up the production, but also using our relationship with other African countries to actually be able to sell pasta, something as simple as pasta. Nigeria is known to have the opportunity to be able to increase our capacity in rubber manufacturing. In 2021, we exported $81.5 million worth of rubber, but Africa imported $193 million worth of rubber. You can see the same in starch residue. Nigeria in 2021 exported starch residue worth $15.3 million, but the African continent imported starch residue worth $230 million. So simply, the opportunity that exists for us within the single market to really grow our economy, support companies to manufacture better, create jobs that our young people are desperate for, is unprecedented. And this is why today's event is extremely important. And Doctor, what you've done today, I hope we continue to give you all the support you need, because the future of our country and our continent is solely rooted in our ability to take advantage of this single market. And if we move beyond understanding the market into actually talking about digital trade, there are significant components of the digital trade protocol under the single market. For those who know, some of them will include things around e-commerce, digital infrastructure, data protection, cross-border payments, capacity building, and innovation and entrepreneurship. And this is the core of my talk this morning. If you take each and every one of these core components of the digital trade protocol, you will find that Nigeria is actually ready to lead the continent when it comes to digital trade. If you talk about e-commerce, as a country, the Digital Economy Bill, which is now passed through the first reading at both the Senate and the lower house, is focused on encouraging e-signature, e-contract, but also ensuring that we can drive up innovation with NIPOS to support with the movement of goods. If you talk about digital infrastructure, which is focused on promoting investment across the continent in digital infrastructure that can help us drive digital trade. You're probably also aware that the Federal Executive Council approved the deployment of 90,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable across the entire country, ensuring that every part of Nigeria is actually deeply connected. This cable, when fully implemented, will be the third longest fiber optic cable on the African continent after Egypt and South Africa. You probably know that our dear President last year, June, signed the Data Protection Act, making us one of the few countries on the African continent with a Data Protection Commission, which is there to drive the protection of data and ensuring that data is also used for proper business cases. And this is a strong component of the digital trade protocol that the Secretariat is encouraging across the continent. When we also talk about the cross-border payment, We're probably also aware that the Nigerian interbank settlement system is one of the best in the world, not just in Africa. And this is why Nigeria today has over 5 unicorns within the financial technology space. And the implication of this is that every Nigerian business can actually easily transact with people from across the continent because we have the technology to make this happen. The trade protocol also speaks to capacity building. I believe in this same hall, the vice president actually launched a program with Wema Bank, which is focused on driving up digital literacy significantly across our country. And for those who don't know, the essence of investing in digital literacy is in raising the complexity of our economy, because the more people we have who are digitally literate, the more the complexity of the market and the products that they can consume. Our government is also invested in the largest technology talent accelerator in the world, in the 3MTT, which is focused on training 3 million technical talent. There's nowhere in the world where this is being done at the minute. And the implication of this is that we're ready, but we're also positioning for the future of a single market where technology will play a major role. And last but not the least, in the digital trade protocol is innovation and entrepreneurship. And you can see why the vice president being here today is the strongest commitment you can get from this government about our readiness for digital trade. Because upon assuming office, the vice president has pushed and used his office to ensure that the IDICE, which is focused on funding innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship in Nigeria, becomes a project and a funding scheme that is available to every creative entrepreneur in the country. At the same time, at the ministry, we've set out to create a trade desk which is solely focused on digital trade, ensuring that innovators who are building technology solutions in Nigeria are not just building for the country, but they're also building for the world as well. Because when they export, they help to increase our earning as a nation. Every single aspect of the digital trade protocol, this government is working actively and investing actively to ensure that Nigeria can actually provide the leadership that the continent requires when it comes to this single market. And I encourage everyone in the room today that as we continue to push on the digital trade protocol, as we continue to push to encourage trading amongst African countries, that we also engage everything government is doing to strengthen our ability to be able to lead. A market of 230 million people is not just an opportunity for Nigeria only, but an opportunity for the entire continent, but also an opportunity for Africa to not only serve ourselves, but better serve the world as well. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you, sir.
The Honorable Minister, Communication, excuse me, the Honorable Minister of Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy. Thank you very much for that one. They say figures don't lie and facts don't lie. The one thing you can tell is that that PhD that precedes his name was not bought. Holds a PhD from University of Leicester. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. We see your work, and may the Almighty in His infinite goodness bring to bear all that you plan for the digital economy space so that Nigeria can stand tall as the big brother of Africa, even on this digitization agenda. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for him once again. All right, today is Friday, and that's not news. But for those of us who have to pray the Jumat prayer, would have to appeal to some people who are on the list to speak to kindly bear with us. We need to speed up the program, especially because of the Vice President who's here with us and needs to attend to a few things before that. Today is Sunday for some of us, if you understand what I mean. So please bear with us. We will be tweaking the program a little bit, and we'll also be speeding things up. The next person to give us a keynote address is Mr. Chris Camponi, Head of Prosperity, the British Deputy, and also the British Deputy High Commissioner to Nigeria. When you hear prosperity, I'm sure you think of money. And if we're thinking of a prosperous Nigeria, then we should be listening to him. And I'm buttering him up a little bit so that when I tell him it's just 5 minutes that he has to speak, he will bear with us. Thank you so much, Mr. Chris Camponi. 5 minutes, please.
Good morning, everybody. 5 minutes is good of me. So if I may stand on existing protocol, but of course I should recognise His Excellency Vice President Senator Kashim Shettima and all the Honourable Ministers and Heads of Agencies. Thank you. So I volunteered to be here today, believe it or not. If you ask my wife, I'm a tech geek, and if you ask my colleagues, I'm a trade geek. So what better way to start the weekend than talking about digital trade? So that's why I'm here. The UK is a proud champion of open, free and fair trade. We understand the benefits that open, free and fair trade bring to our economy, our businesses and our people. We also understand that open, free and fair trade requires a rule book. And one of the last trade agreements that we signed up to was the Comprehensive Progressive Agreement for the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That's a mouthful. We love trade that much that we join regional trade agreements when we're not even in the region. So that's how much we love it. Because we understand that plurilateral agreements don't have to be one size fits all. They can allow for different types of economies, different levels of commitment, different types of speed and joining up to those commitments. And that's what the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is. So we completely support it, and that's why we are supporting and funding ODI to do this research and this work this week. Now, my role as Head of Prosperity is very varied. I don't quite know what it means, but it involves a lot. But part of that is I lead our digital strategy, so the UK's digital strategy across Nigeria. And when I look at the tech sector and all the challenges that the honourable ministers in front of me are trying to tackle, I look at it as a pipeline, and for me it starts with infrastructure, we just discussed before, and it goes through sort of early skills, skills for business, cyber security, but it doesn't end at successful businesses. For me, it ends at very successful businesses with a multinational presence, and for that you need trade, and you need a rule book, and you need the protocol that we had in February. So I'm going to finish there. I think I'm within my 5 minutes. I just thank you all for being here today. Thank you for supporting this initiative. It's vital, it's important. There's lots of work to go to come, and I wish you all good luck in doing that. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, besides what he has spoken about in terms of, growing prosperity for Africa and all of that, I'd like you to put your hands together for him for keeping to time. We all have 24 hours a day, and anyone who wastes your time wastes your life. So please put your hands together for him once again. Right, our next speaker is a researcher, one of the sponsors of this event, ODI, representing ODI. She's Dr. Agarwal, Prachi Agarwal, and she will be giving a presentation 5 minutes to. When I said 5 minutes, she said no. I said, well, the VP. She says, okay, no problem. Thank you very much for keeping it within 5 minutes. Please put your hands together for her as she comes to the stage.
Good morning, everybody. Your Excellency, Vice President Kashim Shettima, honorable ministers, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor and a privilege to be standing here and to address this esteemed gathering, and today at this pivotal workshop of digital trade in Nigeria, the Renewed Hope Strategy. On behalf of ODI, I commend the federal government of Nigeria for this visionary approach and leadership in prioritizing digital trade as a key pillar of Renewed Hope Strategy, and for hosting this very timely and important event. I also appreciate the opportunity to contribute to this crucial conversation today. A brief background: ODI is a leading global affairs think tank and is dedicated to tackling global challenges through rigorous research and innovative policy solutions. We have been supporting the African Continental Free Trade Area implementation of the agreement and firmly believe in the transformative potential of the agreement for digital trade in unlocking economic growth, creating jobs, and reducing poverty. Our involvement in Nigeria's AFCFTA journey is part of a broader Supporting Investment and Trade in Africa, SEDA, program that is being funded by the UK's Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO. We are proud to partner with the Nigerian government, the AFCFTA Secretariat, the National Action Committee for Nigeria, and a Nigerian research partner, Dr. Sant Mabakalu, at the African International Trade and Commerce Research, to support the implementation of the landmark agreement and harness its opportunity. To start with, Nigeria, as you already know, is a leading economic power in Africa and has a pivotal role to play in shaping the future of digital trade on the continent. The AFCFTA is a milestone in the continent's economic integration efforts, and the protocol on digital trade lies within this broader framework, where it recognizes the transformative potential of digital technologies, establishes a regulatory framework which is conducive to digital trade, and aims to ensure digital transformation is a driver of growth, and Nigeria is on the very precipice of this. ODI recognizes this immense potential of Nigeria's digital trade ecosystem and firmly believes that digital trade is a key driver of economic growth. The Digital Trade Protocol is seen in Nigeria as a critical instrument to advance the digital transformation of its economy. Today, Nigeria already is a very big digital economic powerhouse on the continent, with its large market of over 200 million mobile subscribers, one of the largest on the continent, and a very youthful population that is the future of the continent. Its expanding connectivity, tech startup ecosystem, and ICT sector growth is commendable. The AFCFTA agreement, as well as the Digital Trade Protocol, can help develop Nigeria e-commerce platforms, support startups, financial technologies or fintechs, software developers, and data management tools. It can help small and medium enterprises, women and youth access new markets on the continent via digital trade. Some of our analysis shows that the Digital Trade Protocol and a 10% rise in digital connectivity in Nigeria can increase its GDP by 11 to 13%. It can give rise to employment by 15 to 40% and expand its exports from 16 to 60%. There are several national policies that already exist in Nigeria, and we are aware of that, but let me enumerate a few. The Bill on Nigerian Electronics Transactions, Financial Inclusion Strategy, National Broadband Plan, and the National Nigerian Data Protection Regulation, which was recently signed, are all excellent examples of what Nigeria is doing. However, some challenges still exist in terms of knowledge and skill gaps, infrastructural and institutional limitations, some inadequate quality of regulations on data governance, although we have data protection. Data governance is a little broader than that, and on cybersecurity. Our study found that there was low awareness about the benefits of the AFCFTA Digital Trade Protocol in the private sector, and a lack of involvement in AFCFTA negotiations of the private sector. There are also high transaction fees and currency conversion rates, which sometimes inhibit digital trade. Sorry. But there are several policy recommendations that the report came up with, and the main theme of that is that the central government and its ministries have to collaborate, and the collaboration needs national policies to establish a national digital law, develop comprehensive, detailed, and measurable digital trade framework, interministerial collaboration, regulatory reforms, cybersecurity and data protection, enhance the role of the National Action Committee for Nigerian businesses to understand where they can access the market, what products they can access the market in, and where is the demand on the continent, as well as Pan-African collaboration to ensure that we don't have information silos and everybody's able to access the data freely. Finally, the recommendations for supporting the private sector, which is the backbone of digital trade in Africa and in Nigeria. The main theme of this is connect, assist, and protect. So you need to build capacity building. There need to be capacity building exercises, strengthen the adoption of digital trade among MSMEs, women and youth, provide digital tools, digital skills, infrastructure investment for stable broadband and electric connections, create environment for innovation, for fintechs. Nigeria already has 5 unicorns in the fintech space, and there's space for more. They facilitate e-commerce by helping companies understand where the markets exist, creating central platforms for e-commerce, increasing engagement with the private sector, which is of utmost importance, to understand what gaps and what issues they face when it comes to digital trade in Africa. And finally, the most important bit, female empowerment. Prioritize female entrepreneurship. Women are the backbone of trade in Africa, and digital trade is their route to prosperity for the continent and for Nigeria. We need to encourage participation of women entrepreneurs and increase digital literacy among them. Thank you very much. I hope I stuck to my time limit. And Your Excellencies, we look forward to working together for the fruitful discussion and outcomes of this workshop, and we're confident that together we can make significant strides for Nigeria in the AFCFTA Digital Trade Protocol. Thank you.
Thank you very much. She did stay within her 5 minutes, you'd agree, because for the bulk of what she had produced to share with us today, and she had to keep it, locked within that 5 minutes. If I had my way, I would give her 30 minutes. Unfortunately, I don't. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together once again for her. So many innovative ideas in that one, but the one that stuck with me the most is to empower women, for this Africa, for this digitization in Africa. We all know that when a woman commits to something, she does it with everything, and at the end of the day, we stick it through. Okay, everybody's keeping quiet. Can I get you? Please put your hands together for her once again. Thank you very much, Dr. Agarwal, for that one. And I'm hoping that the conversation will go beyond this, so that all of those beautiful things you had there, Nigeria can take full advantage of it. Thank you. All right, our next speaker, and before I go to the next speaker this morning, it's impossible to do business across Africa if you are not a registered business. Do I agree? Do I have any other person who agrees? All right, so we have with us this morning, because of the importance of this event, we have with us this morning the Registrar General of the Corporate Affairs Commission. They register your business. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for him. He is Barrister Hussein Ishaq Magaji, S.A.N. And someone forgot his wristwatch in the convenience at the loo. So if it's you, please let me know so we can hand it over. And thank you to the gentleman who brought it. Our next keynote speaker is Mr. Bruce Ayonote. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Suburban Telecoms, and he will be talking about empowering SMEs through e-commerce. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for him. I forgot to mention, 5 minutes, please.
center of a bustling and busy city stood a lady's food vendor, Madam Ifeanyi Chiku. She has been in this business for years now and has become so accustomed to the traditional routine of a handwritten ledger, cash box saddled with inaccuracies and dwindling sales. For as the world has become more digital, leaving her behind, our once happy place gradually became a shadow of itself.
Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, Minister of Trade, Minister of Communications, Digital Economy and Innovation, representative of the Minister of Trade, may I stand on existing protocols? We are here today to put our weight to digital trade in Africa, and to also live out our renewed hope. Renewed hope is a philosophy that you can't go wrong with, because it is both achieved in prosperity and in adversity. And renewed hope is also personal. And we at Suburban have a renewed hope. And the reason is, we think the job of government is to create an enabling environment. And the duty of the industry participants is to utilize that resource for value creation and development. We think that this government has given us that. And it's a personal responsibility to utilize the resource to achieve success. We've been doing this for 25 years. Since the first republic, Suburban was born, and we've used technology to actively influence and develop the Nigerian society. A couple of things we've done in industries, including the telecoms industry, the internet industry, healthcare industry, and the financial services, speak for themselves. The most notable one was in 2006, when we, in search of high-speed internet, we built cables between Nigeria and Benin Republic to access multi-gigabit internet access to backhaul into our country. And this accelerated and led to the proliferation of the internet, making way for 3G, mobile data, BlackBerry, and a host of services that I believe started the present benefit we're seeing in the data space. We love what is happening today in the digital space. We're very motivated by the energy of the minister, of the DG of NIDA, and their teams. They have a very wide team of innovative, young, competent officers who are doing great work in ensuring the industry is developed. We've decided to contribute to the digital trade in Africa by providing digital presence. Now, the minister talked about digital literacy, and we see it as literacy first, presence second, and prosperity follows. So the SMEs will get transformation, digital transformation, and give them a fighting chance to survive the present changes in the world today. So how are we doing this? Digital presence, from our perspective, is first of all getting access to a domain name, and then secondly getting access to a website or a platform where you can carry out your commerce. And we believe with digital presence, a small business now has the resources to basically do commerce and achieve digital transformation. 9 out of 10 SMEs fail over 5 years, according to World Bank data, based on the challenges of running business the traditional way. However, the destiny is changed once they go digital, because the costs and the barriers to survival are reduced, and in some cases eliminated. So with this, we've come up with a donation of 1,000 domains, 1,000 websites. For female empowerment. So fortunately, this is going to women only. So we think that this will start a process of practically achieving a lot of the activities we're doing. The last point I would like to make, the process is a very seamless process. It's also captured here. But the last point I would also want to make is that the 1,000 websites that are going to be built by fellows of the Minister's 3MTT program. So again, it's basically dovetailing activities that are going on in the country. There are developers and forging an ecosystem that ensures sustainability and viability over the long term. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bruce Ayonote, for that one. Indeed, any business that is not digitized in the next few years will have to fizzle out. And whatever it is that we can do to ensure that Africa is fully digitized and we can do cross-border trade, and like the Honorable Minister of Communications said earlier, we can bring in the imports through intra-Africa instead of coming into Africa. Anything we can do to make that happen, we must do to make it happen. The next item on the agenda is actually, okay, so let me first confess. One of my favorite pastimes is watching the Vice President's speeches, because he has his way with words, and you can tell that he spends a lot of time in the library. There's a way he colors the words that make you excited to listen to, especially if you're someone who works with words. And I will just take something from a speech he gave a little while back. And he said, okay, the whole speech is interesting, but let me just take this one. He said, "I am proud to share that we refuse to treat any Nigerian as an outsider because of the village in which he or she was born. We refuse to attack our citizens because of the architecture of their places of worship. We refuse to grade our citizens based on the prominence of their ethnic group. We refuse to make our politics a chamber for waging wars. This is the Nigeria we must work together to build." Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, with his remarks on digitization for Africa. Thank you so much, sir.
You can kindly sit down, please. I have to be careful, otherwise our MC will put me into trouble the way she is eulogizing me. The Honorable Minister of Communications, Innovations and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, a square peg in a square hole, a very supremely competent young man. I have the liberty to call him a young man since I'm 11 years older than him. The DG of NIDA, Malam Kashifu Inwa Abdullahi, the Managing Director of Nigeria Commodity Exchange, Mr. Anthony Atuche, the Registrar General Corporate Affairs Commission, Barrister Ishaq Hussein Magaji, SAN, the Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer, Nigeria's Shippers Council, Mr. Pius Ukeima Akuta, Special Assistants to the President, Salihu Dasuki Nakande, and Engineer Janipa Akidije, the British Deputy High Commissioner and Head of Prosperity, Mr. Chris Camponi, Senior Research Officer ODI, Dr. Prachi Agarwal, Thank you for pronouncing my name correctly, as if you were the person who named me at birth. Thank you. Members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished guests too numerous to mention, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, Kemi, I am most grateful for the encomiums you poured on me, which I don't deserve as much as you believe in. Without a doubt, the African Continental Trade Agreement is not merely an aspiration of this promising continent to dismantle barriers to trade and investment. It is also not just an avenue for us to facilitate access to international markets. We are in a vantage position because we are the continent's largest ICT hub. And as such, we must lead the way to the future of this peculiar web of the Industrial Revolution. I am therefore delighted to join you today, confident that each of us is prepared for the challenge ahead. Nigeria's strategic advantage lies not only in the size of its digital infrastructure and ambition, but also in our talents and population. We are at the forefront of the digital economy because of the creativity and knowledge-sharing exploits of our youth. It was secondly captured by Dr. Tijani, a population of 220 million and growing, and the average age of the Nigerian nation is 16.9. My very good friend, Kashipo, once obliged me with some key indices, which I take delight in sharing at so many fora. According to Con Perry, as captured by my friend, by 2035 there will be 65 million global talent deficits. The United States, Russia, and Brazil will suffer from 6 million talent deficits each. And Nigeria is in a unique position to exploit these opportunities, fundamentally because of our proximity to Europe, because of our proficiency in English language. There are more English-speaking people in Nigeria than in India, the global talent powerhouse for now. And by 2035, India will only have 1 million talent surplus. So that goes to show that Nigeria is in a vantage position to take advantage of opportunities that are beckoning at us. India is expected to generate $100 billion from outsourcing alone in the year 2024. The highest we have ever earned from the export of oil was $35 billion in 2011 under former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. This is why His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, has been focused on guiding us towards a future where we can harvest our investments. The vehicles to that future are already here. They are knowledge production, strategic policy implementation, critical infrastructure, disruptive innovation, entrepreneurship and capital and trade. This gathering to revisit digital trade in Africa is yet another opportunity for us to review our commitments to expanding investments in the digital economy. AFCFTA, therefore, underlines our leadership in this sector, and now is the time to assert our presence through strategies that create opportunities for our tech-savvy nation. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the road ahead of us is one of collaboration between the people and the government. The implementation of AFCFTA's digital trade protocol demands the coordination of multiple MDAs and the alignment with the development of new policies and strategies. This is the most practical way for us to build expansive technical talent hubs and education programs for the needs of the nation and beyond. This is why it's absolutely important for us to put square pegs in square holes. I can give testimony to the intellect, to the capacity and commitment of 3 of the gentlemen seated here on the Nigerian table. A friend of mine, Senator Tokumbo Mikhail Abiru, set up a hub, an ICT hub, in his village of Ikorodu in Lagos. He transformed his family house into an ICT hub. And who assisted him in setting up that platform is our current Minister of Communication, Innovation and Digital Technology. Kashifu is intellect personified. He's extremely talented, almost a genius. This is why he is painfully a shy person. He finds it difficult, even socially interacting with people. You know, geniuses are outward characters, you know. And of course, the young man who got a PhD at the age of 25. And Engineer Jennifer is out in the field, setting up digital labs across the length and breadth of this nation. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our collaboration must prioritize comparisons of our policy initiatives to those of developed economies and fine-tune them to sustain our place and fast-track our growth. This gathering must keep alive our culture of dialogue within the government and with the private sector stakeholders who have built more unicorns in Nigeria than the entire continent of Africa combined. Beyond the key opportunities for enhancing Nigeria's digital trade within the AFCFTA framework, this gathering must reassess the strategies we have in place to deploy digital technologies to boost the nation's economic growth and support livelihoods. It must also bring all stakeholders together to develop actionable recommendations to guide our investments in digital infrastructure. For a sector upon which all others rely to survive, digital technologies hold the nation together, and we cannot afford to slow down. Just this morning, the breaking news on all media platforms has to do with the disruption of communications across the world. BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, all the major networks were dwelling on the disruption to the digital communications across the globe. That goes to show, that buttresses the position of our Minister of Communication that ICT is the future of global trade. Beyond the key opportunities for enhancing Nigeria's digital trade, for a sector upon which all other sectors rely, our programs, from the investment in digital and creative enterprises IDIs, to the ongoing intervention to train 3 million technical talents by the Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Technology, to the Outsource to Nigeria initiative, are lifelines in our digital economy. They offer us an avenue to not only maximize our potential, but also commit to the adoption of the digital trade protocol within AFCFTA. We are counting on the collaboration and support of our development partners and various stakeholders to retain our regional primacy in the digital economy. I wish to once again thank the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office and Overseas Development Institute, ODI, for working with us this far and sharing in our belief in the potential of the nation's digital future. Thank you, and may God bless us all. Jamie, you can have the show now. You can have the plan.
Okay, while the Vice President is on stage, would like to take pictures with him. Thank you very much for acknowledging, sir. Please, members of the high table, the program has not ended even when the Vice President is done, because we still have a panel session. And the one thing you cannot take away from the Vice President is the fact that he knows how to hit the nail on the head. And one of the things that we must not take away from the Renewed Hope agenda is the fact that meritocracy is the most important thing for the agenda. Would like all those at the front seat to also join them, for the picture. The Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, takes his leave, but the program continues. Ladies and gentlemen, please, as soon as you're done escorting the Vice President, kindly make your way back to the hall as the program continues.
And busy city stood over this food vendor, Madam Ifeanyi Chiku. She has been in this business for years now and has become so accustomed to the traditional routine of a handwritten ledger, cash box saddled with inaccuracies and dwindling sales. For as the world has become more digital, leaving her behind, her once happy place gradually became a shadow of itself. As people embraces technology and carry out contactless payment, Madam Ifeanyi Chiku remains hopeful.
Madam, you can accept transfer here.
Transfer? No.
One customer after another, the frustration bites harder.
My name is Madam Ifeanyi Chiku. I don't take what into this food business. I don't make any gain out of it. Sometimes I have to see one customer.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, kindly settle down. There's still a lot more to do, and still a long way to go. We're expecting the minister back, and of course, we'll do another keynote speech and then move on to the panel session.
Babe.
Yes, sir. Papa.
You not really order meals now.
Yes, so. Be wondering why you've not even gone digital with your business yet. I know you've been complaining of low sales.
You know how this thing works now.
Okay.
Very complicated and frustrated. I wouldn't even want to try it.
No, now that's not true. Let me give you this scoop. We can get a website with ease, something that is very sleek, user-friendly, and fabulous for your business.
Wow.
You can upload your stocks on the site, price tag, and other things.
Wow.
And babe, that's not even all. You can track your orders, run promotion on your inventories, retain customer loyalty, interact with your customers, and you don't have to leave the comfort of your home for that.
Wow, babe. I can't believe going digital is this easy.
Yes,
Orders
sir.
are already coming.
My
Please
dear.
help me. Let me track my orders.
So what are you waiting for? Make giant stride by going digital today.
My name na Madam Ifeanyi Chukwu. This na my restaurant. But no be say e been there before.
In the center of a bustling and busy city stood a lady's food vendor, Madam Ifeanyi Chukwu. She has been in this business for years now and has become so accustomed to the traditional routine of a handwritten ledger, cash box saddled with inaccuracies and dwindling sales. For as the world has become more digital, leaving her behind, her once happy place gradually became a shadow of itself. As people embraces technology and carry out contactless payment, Madam Ifeanyi Chukwu remains hopeful.
Madam, you can accept transfer here.
Transfer.
No.
One customer after another, the frustration bites harder.
My name na Madam Ifeanyi Chukwu. I don't take what into this food business. I no dey make any gain out of it. Sometimes I have to see one customer.
But
Now I don't go digital. My sales don't improve. People dey order my food from anywhere. And they fit monitor my inflow and outflow. Who say technology no good?
Babe,
Yes, sir. Papa.
you not really order meals now.
Yes, so. I've been wondering why you've not even gone digital with your business yet. I know you've been complaining of low sales.
You know how this thing works now.
Okay.
Very complicated and frustrated. I wouldn't even want to try it.
No, now that's not true. Let me give you this scoop. You can get a website with ease, something that is very sleek, user-friendly, and fabulous for your business.
Wow.
You can upload your stocks on the site, price tag, and other things.
Wow.
And babe, that's not even all. You can track your orders, run promotion on your inventories, retain customer loyalty, interact with your customers, and you don't have to leave the comfort of your home for that.
Wow, babe. I can't believe going digital is this easy.
Yes,
Orders
sir.
are already coming.
My
Please
dear.
help me. Let me track my orders.
So what are you waiting for? Make giant stride by going digital today.
My name na Madam Ifeanyi Chukwu. This na my restaurant. But no be say e been there before.
In the center of a bustling and busy city stood a Buddhist food vendor, Madam Ifeanyi Chiku. She has been in this business for years now and has become so accustomed to the traditional routine of a handwritten ledger, cash box saddled with inaccuracies and dwindling sales. For as the world has become more digital, leaving her behind, her once happy place gradually became a shadow of itself. As people embraces technology and carry out contactless payment, Madam Ifeanyi Chiku remains hopeful.
Madam, if they accept transfer here,
Transfer.
No.
One customer after another, the frustration bites harder.
My name is Madam Ifeanyi Chiku. I don't take what into this food business. I know they make any gain out of it. Sometimes I have to see one customer.
But
Now I don't go digital. My sales don't improve. People they order my food from anywhere. And they monitor my inflow and outflow. Who say technology no
Babe,
Yes, sir. Papa.
you not really order meals now.
Yes, so. Be wondering why you've not even gone digital with your business yet. I know you've been complaining of low sales.
You know how this thing works now.
Okay.
Very complicated and frustrated. I wouldn't even want to try it.
No, now that's not true. Let me give you this scoop. You can get a website with ease, something that is very sleek, user-friendly, and fabulous for your business.
Wow.
You can upload your stocks on the site, price tag, and other things.
Wow.
And babe, that's not even all. You can track your orders, run promotion on your inventories, retain customer loyalty, interact with your customers, and you don't have to leave the comfort of your home for that.
Wow, babe. I can't believe going digital is this easy.
Yes,
Orders
sir.
are already coming.
My
Please
dear.
help me. Let me track my orders.
So what are you waiting for? Make giant stride by going digital today.
My name is Madam Ifeanyi Chiku. This is my restaurant. But not be say the day before.
in the center of a bustling and busy city stood a Buddhist food vendor, Madam Ifeanyi Chiku. She has been in this business for years now and has become so accustomed to the traditional routine of a handwritten ledger, cash box saddled with inaccuracies and dwindling sales. For as the world has become more digital, leaving her behind, her once happy place gradually became a shadow of itself. As people embraces technology and carry out contactless payment, Madam Ifeanyi Chiku remains hopeful.
Madam, if they accept transfer here,
Transfer.
No.
One customer after
Use your
another,
coin.
the frustration bites harder.
My name is Madam Ifeanyi Chiku.
Well,
I
ladies
don't
and
take what into
gentlemen,
this-
We're continuing the program in earnest, and I'll just say there'll be ample time for networking in a bit. There's a lady who is crucial to the AFCTA, and I acknowledged her earlier, but I didn't acknowledge her well enough, because regardless of what you are trying to sell, if you cannot move it from a point A to a point B as fast as possible, if there is no trust that moving it from a point A to a point B will mean that it will get there, then there is nothing we're talking about in terms of digitization. Talking about putting square pegs in square holes, we have the Postmaster General of NIPOST with us. And wait for it, you know, when you hear master, you're expecting a man. This is a woman excelling in the turf for men. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Tola Odeyemi of NIPOST, the Postmaster General of Nigeria, dressed beautifully in that Ankara outfit. Ladies and gentlemen, the program continues in earnest. Please put your hands together for her. Okay, let me tell the women that are here that SMEDAN started something recently, and they will be giving about ₦1 billion using the WOMB initiative, WOMB. If you are a woman here and you are interested in getting part of that WOMB money, part of that ₦1 billion, encourage the men to sit down. And that means that you will also sit down. So if you are a woman here and you want to hear about SMEDAN's ₦1 billion that they are giving to women, encourage the women or the men to sit down. Mr. Charles Odi, the CEO of SMEDAN, will be telling us some of what we need to know with regards to SMEDAN. He was supposed to speak earlier, but because of some challenges that we had to quickly speed it up. I know that they recently launched the WOMB initiative, WOMB, for women entrepreneurs. If you'd like to hear more about that, kindly put your hands together for Mr. Charles Odi as he tells us what we can do with SMEDAN, especially with regards to digitizing Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for an entrepreneur par excellence, a man who's been committed to growing SMEs in Africa for years. 10 years ago, he started the SME 100 Africa, and today that community has over 100,000 people. Okay, now I'm glad it's quiet. Please put your hands together for SMEDAN DG Charles Odi.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please allow me stand on already established protocols. My name is Charles Odi. I'm the Director General of the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria, and we are the agency that's poised with the mandate for rural industrialization, poverty alleviation, job creation, and livelihood enhancement. We're currently modernizing the operations of approximately 40 million small businesses across the 36 states and the FCT. Today we're talking about digital trade, and first and foremost, I'd like to congratulate Nigeria. On Tuesday, we experienced our inaugural shipment on the AFCFTA GTI arrangement. Please, let's just appreciate our country. Last year, about 47 countries had rectified the AFCFTA agreement, and we at SMEDAN are positioning ourselves to take advantage of this. We understand that there cannot be There cannot be, talking about trade, we cannot have trade without access. So one of the things that we're trying to do is democratize access for our small businesses. Access to markets, access to finance, access to capacity development, access to mentors, and access to trainings. We have, as an agency, come up with the One Local Government, One Product initiative, where we support cooperatives across the 36 states and the FCT with financing. 70% of that financing is a loan, and 70% is a loan and 30% is a grant. And this money is used for working capital for the cooperatives across Nigeria, used for them to procure workspaces, and also used for them to add to their working capital. I would like to hinge this speech on three things. The first thing is advocacy. They say the next thing after doing the best thing is to tell the world how you did the best thing. So I would like to congratulate the SA to the President on ICT for actually getting the stakeholders in the room, conducting the research on how we can continue to foster conversations around AFCFTA. And the next thing is collaboration. We've collaborated with NITDA. We are currently driving digital literacy across Nigeria with NIDA. We're about to collaborate with NIPOST to help our small businesses move their goods from where they produce to where they ought to be. And the last but not the least is awareness. We'll sign an agreement with the Afrexim Bank on a product called Mansa, where our small businesses can list and be seen by their counterparts in Nigeria and out of Nigeria. And we are very much excited for these websites. Even though we are starting with women, we're very glad to be starting with women. We want to make sure that our small businesses, you know, the biggest problem for our small businesses is actually visibility. You can't be winking in the dark as a small business. And I'll give you an instance. In one of our hubs, one of our industrial development centers, just down the road, we had someone who was interested in packaging. And then 3 doors down that small business owner, there was someone who was actually doing packaging. And that person never knew, and he had existed there for 3 years. And so what we thought about was, if the guy who was doing packaging just even had the website, like the SA to the President on ICT is trying to advocate for today, what would have happened is that that person would have gotten more businesses and more trade. And so that's why we're leveraging technology, collaborating with NIDA to drive digital literacy across Nigeria, across the 36 states and the FCT. But last but not the least is infrastructure. We cannot start to talk about trade without even putting the infrastructure in place. So what have we done? Under this administration, our mandate for the small business, the 40 million small businesses in the MSME ecosystem is one thing called GROW. Please, you'd like to write this down. G-R-O-W. G stands for guidance, R stands for resources, O stands for opportunities, and W stands for workforce support. That's all that we're offering our small businesses in the MSME ecosystem. Please, you can make that louder. In terms of guidance, His Excellency the Vice President, who is the President of the National Council of SMEs, has launched this council where all our small businesses across the 36 states and the FCT now have a repository where they can get any information that they need. So that's a one-stop shop. So information you need about NIPC, information you need about NEPC, information you need about CAC, you can find them in our SMEDAN offices across the 36 states and the FCT. I thought the applause would be louder than that. And so our 36 states and the FCT will now become digital hubs where we want to facilitate trainings for our small businesses, and then we want to make sure that we can now register the small businesses by giving them visibility on the internet. Right now at SMEDAN, a small business owner can walk into our complex, access loan at a single-digit interest rate, go out there and to buy their raw materials, come back to the complex, process that raw material into a finished good, warehouse it in our complex, and distribute it anywhere in Nigeria. This is the first time that we're leveraging. Please, we can make that louder if that was for the government. This is the first time that we're leveraging our shared facilities to enable our small businesses drive down the cost of doing businesses and to leverage and scale. So in closing, we at the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency are open to collaboration. There are 40 million small businesses across Nigeria. We can't do it alone. We have begun today. You can see a very healthy government-to-government collaboration with NIDA. We're about to do one with NIPOST, and we're open to doing it with the private sector. We understand these small businesses. We know where they are. We know where their problems are. And we want to work with each and every one of us to see that we're taking advantage of this trade agreement, which is the biggest that opens market for 1.4 billion Nigerians, and actually help them to scale and to expand their businesses from Nigeria to the rest of the world. Thank you so much for listening. And then we're open. We have a desk right there where we will be taking questions to collaborate with you. And well, I wish everyone a successful deliberation at the end of this. Thank you so much.
You see, Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore said one of the things they were going to uphold in Singapore was meritocracy. Because when people get the positions that they deserve, you can be sure that they will do right in that position and ensure that they can, you know, bring the qualities they have to bear in that environment. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Charles Odi once again. But also put your hands together for the Renewed Hope Agenda. Thank you. Well, we move on now, and it's time for us to have our panel session. All right, time to have our panel session. And of course, on the panel session today, we have men and women who have proven their mettle across board, especially in the world of digitization. The first person I'd like to call to the high table is the Group Head Technical Services, Galaxy Backbone Enterprise, in the person of Dr. Nasir Shinkafi. For those who may not know, Galaxy Backbone is the backbone of government ICT services in Nigeria. Please put your hands together for him. We also have to join him on the high table, Mr. Chris Camponi, the head of Prosperity, British High Commission. He's the British Deputy High Commissioner. And prosperity sounds like money. What I just hear is money, 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 you know. Please take a seat. Joining them on stage is ACG, that's Assistant Controller General of Customs, ICT Modernization, in the person of ACG Kikelomo Adiola. Please put your hands together for her. Whatever you need to send outside Nigeria needs to go through the customs, you know. So if she's not talking to us, we're not going anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for her. But of course, you know that in the security outfits, we don't have hers, we have him, but she's in a skirt. To join her on the stage is Miriam Lawal, a digital development expert working with the World Bank. Would also like to have Mr. Charles Emembolu, the board chairman, Innovation Support Network. And last but not the least is Ms. Habiba A. Waziri, the managing director,